Can you answer the question?
Yes.
Okay, was you telling Lyle what?
My dad had been molesting me.
There was no reason to lie. Clearly, he was coming to me, wanted me to do something about it.
I came to a place where I believe that under the law, resentencing is appropriate.
I would be doing a disservice to the Menendez brothers, to the victim families, to the public, if I do anything other than a thorough review of the facts and the law.
Now for what's trending in true crime. A hearing in the long-awaited resentencing for the Menendez brothers is scheduled for today. Eric and Lyle Menendez have been waiting for a resentencing and being in this process for months now. Today, the court is expected to consider the admissibility of the brothers' risk assessments, which were ordered by California Governor Gavin Newsom. And the defense is going to make their case that the district attorney who's in charge of this office now, Nathan Hochman, that he should recuse himself from the case.
Mr. Hochman taking positions and doing press stunts that, in my humble opinion, not only violate his duty to the law, but violate his duty to the state of California, the county of Los Angeles.
You may remember the brothers were sentenced to life in prison back in 1996 for the killing of their parents, Jose and Kitty Menendez. And this morning, we are asking what we can expect out of today's hearing. Let's bring back in our panel of guests, criminal defense attorneys David Bruno and Joe Tamburino. And joining us now, law enforcement expert Sonny Slaughter. Good to have you all along. David Bruno, let's start with you. What do you expect out of today's hearing in this lengthy resentencing process? It seems like it's gone on for months.
Yeah, you laid out the two primary issues well, and that is the court going to consider this comprehensive report by the parole board? You know, it was last time we were in court, it was like, hold up and stop, we have additional evidence. And at that point, we didn't know if it's coming in or not, and we still don't. We have not been given any hints one way or the other. I assume it's probably good for the DA, because the DA is the one that wanted to admit this in that late hour. And then that second point where Garagos is trying to get Hochman recused, I don't think that's going anywhere, honestly. This is somebody that was elected, brought in. He's going to make the arguments. The judge is going to call it. And then final point, this is the judge. I mean, the DA withdrew this motion. The judge didn't have to take this. He could have withdrew the motion just like the DA did, but the judge on his own authority kept it up. So I know a lot of people don't think it's going to happen, the resentencing, but that's the glimmer of hope that the Menendez brothers have, in that this court did allow it to continue.
So there is a chance that they could get a resentencing, which many have said would mean they could get out on parole immediately. I want to take a look before I ask you a question, Joe, at the family statement. So the Menendez family, they've been supporting Lyle and Eric Menendez, all but really one family member. And they had this to say in advance of this hearing. They said this motion, their motion to recuse, is about accountability and ensuring that Nathan Hochman's office stops crossing ethical lines and starts respecting our rights as victims under Marsy's law. It also states that the DA's office may think that we blindly decided to forgive Eric and Lyle, but our journey to forgiveness was not linear. It's a direct result of the men they have become. Joe, do you think that when we have this district attorney who they say is blocking them, but comparing that to George Gascon, who was supporting them, do you think they have a case there in front of the judge?
No, not at all. I mean, I could be wrong, but I don't see any of this going anywhere. Hochman will not be removed. The judge will allow the risk assessment. There's no doubt about that. And the judge is not going to resentence. I just don't see any of this happening. And this whole idea beyond that, you know, Gavin Newsom, the governor, in the last resort might, you know, commute their sentences or something like that, that's ridiculous. That's not going to happen either. I mean, Gavin Newsom is likely one of the individuals who will run for president the next time for the Democratic Party. There's no way he's going to do that. So, short answer, Hochman's not going to be removed. The study's coming in, and the judge is not going to resentence.
All right, there you have the prediction from Joe Tamburino. Sonny Slaughter, your thoughts on the family statement where they believe that this district attorney's office really is blocking them, violating their rights. And they even say that he demoted people, and those attorneys also say that they were demoted because they supported the Menendez brothers there in his office.
Good morning, Julia. Good morning, everyone. While I think all of the family statements are important, I think that the risk assessment is coming in. It is a critical piece. It is not new to the Menendez. It is not new to what we do in criminal justice systems, so it is not new to this particular case. It has critical information. If that information is negative in any form or fashion, as to public health and safety risks, then the judge is absolutely going to consider it. And I'm not sure whether he's going to take this as a resentencing assessment, as this assessment to make his decision around resentencing. I think it's a long shot, but I do think they do have a shot. And I think the family is still going to support their loved ones. But that is only one part, because the public risk is greater than what the family's concerns are and their potential rights regarding this matter.
Yeah, let's talk about that public risk. Let's listen to what the governor had to say when asked about that specifically.
There's no guarantee of outcome here. My office conducts dozens and dozens of these clemency reviews on a consistent basis, but this process simply provides more transparency, which I think is important in this case, as well as provides us more due diligence before I make any determination for clemency.
And David, how big is it that the public know about this risk assessment? Is it common for the public to know about what a risk assessment says before someone may be released? And how do you think that plays into a case that is such a high-profile one like this one?
No, it's not common that the public gets this information. I mean, this is parole at its best. I mean, parole's there to determine whether or not the inmates are able to go back into society and be released safely. Now, what Joe said is important here, and I guarantee that there's been polling from that particular video by Newsom, because this is a hot button issue for politics. And if he does want to get into the presidential race, this is going to be one of the issues where he's going to be seeing where it is on the public spectrum and where it's falling. And I guarantee that his people have done polling on that particular video to see where his constituents are on this point.
Joe, let me ask you this about what Nathan Hochman wants, because he says all he wants really is contrition. He wants the Menendez brothers to fall on their sword, to admit their lies, to admit that the defense that they had back in the 90s was a fake one in terms of self-defense, and show full remorse. The family says these brothers have shown remorse, but Hochman wants it on the record. Do you think the defense should think about this and try and do something to appease him in order to get this resentencing on a more positive path for them?
Yes, I agree. The only path forward for the defense is some type of redemption by saying, you know what, regardless of what our father did, you know, we were completely wrong. Forget about our prior 2 trials. We should never have done it. We should have pled guilty. I mean, things like that. And I bet you some of that's in the risk assessment, but really that's the only path forward. However, the defense isn't doing that. They've doubled down on the whole abuse situation. They're saying they've got the letter, the infamous letter. They want to have a new trial. That letter should have been presented to the second jury, all of these things. So yes, the defense should be doing a redemption, meaning, you know, we have changed, we have seen the evilness that we've done, but they're not doing that. They're basically saying, we were abused, look at this letter, the second trial wasn't fair, we should have had more evidence in about our abuse, so on and so forth. So, yes, I agree, they should be doing that, but they're not.
They're not. Just a real quick follow-up before we have to get to break. Joe, do you think there's a reason why they're not doing that? Do they think that it's a lose-lose situation?
Yeah, well, they're probably getting legal advice. I mean, that's what I would imagine. That's what an attorney's for. You sit down with your clients and you say, what's the best path forward? And they've made a determination as a team that the best path forward is to continue to fight along the lines of, we were victims of our dad's sexual abuse.
We will keep you updated on what happens in that hearing. 11:30 Eastern is when it starts there in California.